welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode number 1 of For the Record podcast. I'm your host, Rhoni. And
I'm Danielle.
This is our first episode.
I know. I'm excited. I thought we were going to really introduce ourselves. I'm with Barney today.
I'm with Carol Baskin. She sent me a snap of this morning and she's like, what do you think about this top? I'm like,
no, is it throwing Tiger King vibes?
She asked, is it throwing Tiger King vibes? I did was Carol Baskin killed her husband, whacked him. And she's like, damn it.
Still showed up in it. I don't know.
But finally, after we talked about this, we talked about a version of this for years.
Yeah. I'm like, let's do a wedding guide, Rhoni. I think it'd be really good for couples, blah, 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 blah. And then we just never did it. Yeah.
So this is our version of, okay, we got to do something about what we want to do. And again, it's not like we're passionate about it. We're passionate about weddings. We're passionate about our couples. It's just, how can we deliver it in the best way possible?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every time I step into a wedding, either that forever bridesmaid mode or as a photographer, or even with Rhoni as a team, there's always things the day of I'm troubleshooting and I'm fixing, or I'm like, did I tell that client that information, that tidbit, or did I not? I can't remember. And I just, we come across things that we know that work, and we just want to relay that information to as many people as possible and help some people out. And
podcast is the cool thing now. That's what the cool kids do these days, right?
I know.
So I was like, okay, well, let's do it, but also let's do video too. That way we have both, and people can watch it or listen to it, wherever it works for them.
You can see your outfits if you wish.
Yeah.
Just joking.
Now you make me go buy a new wardrobe, because my outfit is the same type of t-shirt, 5 different colors. That's it.
You know what? As long as I don't have baby spit up, I think I'm doing pretty good today.
That is true. You did get ready for this too. She's like, you're making me put makeup on for this. This better be good.
It's honestly with the pandemic and just like having a child, it's been a year, like a full on year.
Full on year. Got it. But making this podcast, why are we making this podcast? Wait, who are we to make this podcast, and why do people need to listen to us? I think giving them an intro of who we are and what we do would sort of set context to what this podcast is about.
Okay, well, let's start with you, Rhoni. How did you get into the wedding industry?
I was gonna put you on the spot, but
no. Get in there.
So how do we get into this? 2009. We're gonna have to go back to 2009. I was a kid and was 16 years old. I was making music on my laptop, and literally, it was just some trance EDM stuff, right? So, and I would show my dad. I was like, Dad, what do you think? What do you think about this? And
he said, get a real job. Just joking.
Honestly, it was very close to. He said, try something else. And that was his way of saying, this sounds like shit, try to do something better. And I was like, okay. And he did point me, he's like, maybe you want to sort of branch off of making music to maybe like like playing music, like a DJing, or if that's something you're into. Since you're into music, it's along the same lines. I'm not saying what you're doing is bad, but it's just, it could sort of make you money on the side, right? Mm-hmm. Well, because the music industry is competitive as always.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna try to do that. And then YouTube was new at that point. It was like 2009. And I was YouTubing. I had 2 DJs that I looked up to that were on YouTube, and that's where I started learning about what a deck was, how do you mixing, and what a mixer is. And my dad being an engineer himself, like he knew the ins and outs of what plugs in, whatever. So I was like, oh, cool, I like it. And then I bought a deck, and bedroom DJ was trying to this and that. And then one day, his friend, my dad's friend, showed up and he said, hey, my buddy's getting married in Nipua. We have a social. So do you think your kid would come and play social? Like, is that like, you told me your kid's trying to be a DJ, like you'll pay him like, I don't know, $500, come play music. Like, what do you think? My dad's like, sure. So he went and rented a couple of speakers and lighting and everything. And he said, I'll help you set it up and run it up, see what you think and how that works out. Maybe this is a stage that you could work. So Royal Canadian Legion in Nipua was my first ever social. And it was, I in my opinion, looking back at it now, I bombed that thing so bad. Like I had 80 songs on my playlist and that was it. But from there, it was just somehow they liked it, and somebody saw that and wanted me for their social, and a couple things here, a couple things there, and some. Now I'm at my first wedding about 3 months after my first social ever. So that was my first ever venturing into weddings, not knowing what I just thought I was just playing music, and my role starts at 9 p.m. and ends at 1 a.m. I just got to make sure everyone has a great time. So that's how I started. Fast forward, 13 years now into this. Somebody's phone's ringing. Broden. Did we or did we not say silence all phones? God damn it. But yeah, now we're about 13 years into this. I started this when I was 16. Now
so
I'm 29.
You did music first. I think that's like how the whole brand in Manitoba, Canada, knows you is try to
DJ
music.
Rhoni.
Yeah, right. Everyone knows you. And then what made you get into film?
So this is again fast forward 2016. We were, what was it? So we were doing 80 weddings a year kind of thing. There was 5 DJs at that time, including myself. And then we were just entertainment, and it still is. The music side is still what it is. But I think it was a Facebook video that I watched. It was shared by Star Mercer from Estevan, Star Mercer Photography. Mm-hmm. She shared on her Facebook of a photographer that she follows from BC. They had eloped to Bali, and they took a photographer and a videographer with them.
That's where we need to go. We'll shoot for free, just saying. If
you have a wedding in Bali, I'm just saying, Danielle and me will be the third wheel and capture the wedding for you. But it was that wedding that I watched, and it was literally just them, the couple, the bride and the groom, and that's it. And I watched this was an 8-minute video or something like that, and by the end of it, I'm just bawling my eyes out. I have no idea who these people are. Absolutely no clue who these people are. I've never met them. No, I didn't even know the name of the couple. Okay,
I'm going to pause you right there. I'm going to just tangent just a little bit. What he just described, that ability of when you're scrolling through social media, you're looking at video, your photographer or videographer did a good job when you're like, oh my gosh, that couple, they're so in love. Oh, I don't know them, but I just invested 8 minutes into their life story. And I love it, right? Where you just invest quickly in people you don't know, or you're scrolling and you pause, and that picture either makes you stare for more than a couple seconds, or it makes you smile and you have no idea who they are. That is success.
Well, in a world where 3 seconds, 4 seconds is that attention span, because we're scrolling 24/7 right now, and where I was just like, again, this is not far. We're 6 years ago right now, and it was that I was like, what is going on here? And I finished watching it. I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm like, okay, clear up my head. I'm like, what is going on? And I watched the video 7 more times. And about 2 hours later, I'm going through this. I'm like dissecting what was happening in that video, and in a more in a more storytelling format, and also in a more of a technical format, like what was happening. There's footage, there's drone footage, there's them talking, and then the audio, and I'm looking at everything, and I decided, I'm like, why aren't people doing this? You could see the love, you could see people care about each other, and then the vows, and you could just feel it. And it was from people that I've never ever met in my entire life.
Reliving your day, right?
And it was just, now think about it, they can look back on that for years. So I saw that video and I'm going, we need to do this. And I had nothing. I had no idea about a camera, right? And then YouTube the rest of it. And about a year later, we started trying films, and that's where the video side of things started happening. And we're like, I want still that video that I watched. I know for a fact we haven't shot a wedding that we can meet that caliber. Yeah. But that's my goal, is inching towards to get a wedding or do weddings to about that level. Again, and it's still been in a process, and we love our products, but there's always a goal that we want to get to, and that was that. So that's how we started the film side. Now there's 5 guys part of it, and editing and videoing. It's fun. It's fun.
And I just love that you guys do more than weddings.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother episode.
It's a whole nother episode. Absolutely. But it's fun. Like every time I'm such a creep. Every time they post a video, I'm just watching and I'm like, oh my gosh, like her hair, her dress, and just way more invested to it in every single video than I should be. Right? That's why your screen time report goes up.
And the best part too is like I grew up watching my mom and dad's video, right?
Yeah.
Wedding video. And I still know how it looks like and what it is. And then it never clicked to me until I saw that video. And I'm like, why do people not have it? Like,
absolutely.
Now, like I've seen my mom and dad's video, and I've seen relatives who I've never met, but my mom sits and is like, this is who that is. That's who that is. So you could just, you could relive those, and it's a legacy piece, right?
Absolutely.
But how did you get into photo though?
Oh my gosh. I bought my first little tiny camera from Best Buy, and I was like, I'm going to be a newborn photographer, but I don't know where the babies are at. I was like 19.
Where the babies at.
Exactly. So instead I just like took pictures of random barn cats at the farm and cows and cattle and stuff like that. And then every once in a while someone would be like, oh, can you do a maternity shoot or a newborn? And I'd just like kind of stumble my way through it. I take so many photos and hope that like some of them turn out.
Just click, 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 click.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was always just trying different things, but I never really took it seriously for years.
So wait, backtrack. When was the first time you bought the camera? What
oh my
year?
gosh, probably 2012, 2013.
Holy
maybe.
shit. Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't like, and I'm going to do some name drops here. It wasn't till Mark Willis from Mark Willis Photography.
Mr. Mark Willis.
Mark Willis.
ASMR time with Mark Willis.
Mark Willis.
No,
anyway.
we just love him.
Yeah, we're huge fans. Well, he took me under his wing and he's like, come be my second shooter. And I was like, yeah, sure. And, I didn't know what I was getting into. And just like, he was such a huge, and still is, a really big name in photography. His lighting's gold. There's so much things that he just does all the time.
We just drool over his photos all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so
and drool over the man too. Have you seen him?
Yes,
Jesus
right. Every time I go to a wedding with him, they're like, are you his wife? I'm like, I am not his wife.
Trust me, they asked me, do you know Mark Willis? I wish I was his wife too.
Yeah, and it's like a whole group of girls that calls me over and they're like, so is he like single? And I'm like, okay, calm down. Keep it together, girls. You're looking and he can see. Yeah, if you haven't, please you gotta check him out. You
get Mark Willis Photography on Instagram and Mark_Willis on Instagram for personal account. But
yeah, so I mean,
outside of Mark Willis, yes.
Okay. We went on a whole tangent. He is gonna love this. Okay. So anyway, I was his assistant for 2 years, and it was hilarious with like how gentle he was with me, with how terrible I actually was. But no, he taught me everything, and he actually gave me a camera, and he said, "No, take this home. Like, use it. Do whatever you want with it." He was amazing. He was one of the best mentors I've ever had for anything, actually.
And this was what year?
Oh, okay. Is this a test? I can't remember.
Like just to get a timeline of your.
Jeez.
2014, 15?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I shot so many weddings with him and just learned everything from him. And I think one of the hugest things that I learned from Mark Willis is like, over deliver. Promise this, over deliver when it comes to photography. So with him, just like he's like, oh, I, stay for 8 hours, but stay for 10. If the party's bopping, and he said, don't leave unless you have the content. Right. Which was huge because now I see a lot of photographers are like, oh, I'll stay for 6 hours and I'm gone before supper. And it's just like, no, that's not how Mark Willis trained me. Like, you stay and you get that content. So,
because there's no rewind button to go back on, right? No. Like it can't be like, oh, I messed up the shot, let's go back. I'm like, no, not gonna happen.
You can't. And then with him too, and just like how he interacted, and like something could go wrong the day of, but you would never know. He kept his composure, and everything always worked out for him. Like, he just smiles away. But I mean, it's his eyes. They're so memorizing, right? So no one would ever know. It's just the professionalism that he has when he goes to a shoot. So anyway, I learned everything I know from Mark Willis when it comes to like the Canon side of
Mark
things.
Willis sponsor this episode.
Yeah, just okay, but I actually didn't shoot my own wedding And until I'm going to do another name drop of a dear friend of ours, Mark Finney.
Oh, the other Mark.
Yes.
The other Mark also, who looks like a goddamn Greek god. But yeah.
Yeah, he looks like that guy from that underwater movie. What's the
underwater movie?
Aquaman.
Oh, Jason Momoa.
Like if you just put a wig on him.
Oh my god.
Throwing some vibes.
Yeah. Like no, Finney's a really good friend.
Yeah.
And he was my backyard from when I lived in the other place, literally from my house. I could
he's my dirt biking buddy. So
yeah.
Anywho.
Oh, you dirt bike. That's something I forgot. Like we got to talk about that at some point. But yeah,
some weird hidden talents. But anyway, so
weird. Oh my god, the list goes on. You have
Mark
no
Finney
idea.
Had a crazy. I'm not even going to get into it. It's not my story to tell, but a crazy tragedy. And he said, Danielle, can you come shoot this wedding I'm supposed to shoot? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Never met him before. We just stalked each other in social media. And yeah, I was like, cool, but I only have one camera. He's like, well, come over, take my equipment. And I did. And I went and shot a wedding in Rivers for a couple. And the best part of this story is I shot my first wedding and I did everything I was supposed to, and I handed back the photos. I was so hyped up and excited. I handed back the photos, like the entire gallery, at 27 hours from post I left that wedding. Yeah.
Damn.
I know. I had so much poison ivy too. I was on like heavy steroids. I just couldn't sleep. So I did the whole thing. I was so excited. But anyway.
Jesus Christ.
He was like, you're nuts. But yeah, he also gave me the push and I was like, well, I've never shot my own wedding before. He's like, why?
Right.
Do it.
Mm-hmm.
You're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Go. So I just over the years, I've had so much encouragement from him. And yeah, so then I shot my first wedding and like still stumbling through a couple things, but
Right.
yeah, just let me borrow some equipment and away I went. And it was really successful. And the couple still to this day talks about their photos. And from that, my first wedding, I have literally done most of the people or have booked most of the people that were that day
That's
at
crazy.
that wedding.
That's
With
crazy.
poison ivy on my face. They still hired me after the fact.
The effort, bro.
Yeah,
That's awesome. I
So,
love it.
That's kind of how I started and got into it. Like, and I don't know, just I'm at that process where I'm constantly looking like at what everyone else is doing, just even in the States and different parts of Canada, and how they're all evolving. They're constantly evolving their craft.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me right now in my journey of being a wedding photographer, I'm still really excited, right? I'm always making sure that I'm never getting burnt out and that the style and the process and everything just gets quicker, sharper, and evolves.
And the problem is we're always learning. The learning never stops, right?
No, absolutely not.
It's that's the part, because there's always something new. There's always something. There's something that you don't think about, and then all of a sudden now, oh man, I gotta learn this, how to do this, and you see other, again, inspiration comes from everywhere. Like for us, from the video side of things, like we could be watching a movie and all of a sudden like, that's a cool movement and that's a cool shot and the way it was shot and the composition, this and that. And when we start looking at it that way, like we never stop learning, right? So and that's what also keeps us, I guess, fresh, and we're not settling in on photos or video, because we are always passionate and learning about what we're doing. So which keeps it that much more fresh for us too, right?
And you ever, I mean, it's kind of raunchy of me to say this, but you ever see someone that's like still dressing from the 90s and they just don't know, or even an artist or a teacher or anybody that just like, got good at what they're doing, but then just stayed there.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're no longer like relevant. Their work is no longer with the times. So I think with like you and I, we're actually pretty good at that. We're just always trying to, be in the norm, but also making stuff timeless.
Right. And that's the thing too. Trend is one part, but also how that couple's personality and character sort of blend in. If it's something's trendy, it's great, but at the same time, you got to think about your couples at the end of the day and see if that couple can match what you're looking for. If not, then you drop the trend and you try to get to what their style and personality is, and try to make sure you deliver a product that's trendy, timeless, not trendy, right? So,
and even talking about that brings me to the topic, the fact of like, how do you pick a wedding videographer and photographer? So like, what are the things that you should look for when you pick that?
I guess maybe
person?
that's where we should stop and continue on to the next episode, because we've been talking for already 25 minutes. But so that's episode 1.
Yeah.
That was
like an introduction.
That stuff I didn't even know about and how you started, and now literally like now is what I'm hearing, that Finney was the first one board your camera to let you go do your. Oh man, that's crazy. So there you go. That was episode 1. That was introduction episode. Thanks for listening to For the Record, or watching For the Record podcast. This is our episode 1. We're stumbling our way through figuring out what to do and how to do a podcast and at the same time provide value to our couples, and how to basically showcase what we have in our heads and try to tell them, the way we can do things to make it so much better for their wedding day, right? So
okay, you guys have an amazing week,
and that's it. We'll see you next week.